So, the rule of thumb for a night of drinking is that one person in the group stays sober to keep everyone from doing dangerous or stupid things. Well, today I got a story that all those precautions are thrown to the wind, so sit back and enjoy this one because it is bound to get far from stupid. Hello everybody, it's your boy Helix, and today I want to tell you a story about confusion and getting lost while being drunk out for the night on the town. Now, I know what you're all probably thinking. You're probably like, oh, Connor, another story about being drunk? Jeez, dude, get some real content for your channel. This shit ain't funny anymore. Well, you know what? Get fucked! Anyway, this story takes place in a town named Bowling Green, which is a college town that was notorious for being a party school, but everyone who lived there tries to deny it. And the cast of our epic today is myself, Eric, Keith, Trevor, Jake, Sarah, and Ash. Okay, so it's a pretty big group for a complete night of fuckery. So to start off our adventure, we were pre-gaming at Eric and Sarah's apartment before we decided to walk downtown and hit up the bars. And when I say pre-gaming, I'm talking like smashing Jaeger bombs, shots of Grey Goose, to the point to where that standing wasn't even an option. Eventually, like 15 minutes later, we get to a level of not so fucked up that our legs regain function, and then we just all decide to pile out of this building, ready to destroy what was left of our livers. As we tried desperately to find Main Street, I can only describe our fucking group as Lewis and Clark's expedition, only that Lewis and Clark was Eric and Sarah, and they kept walking off in an opposite direction, drunk off their asses, stumbling around like zombies that had broken legs, trying to find some ATM. When we finally did find an ATM, it was out of fucking goddamn service. After we found a working ATM, we got back on Main Street and then decided to start heading to the bars. And I can't remember what bar we first stopped at, but as soon as we get there, I remember I had to piss like a motherfucker. And Trevor came with me because, you know, when you're out drinking, you always take someone with you just so you don't get drugged or shanked or some shit. As I'm taking a piss, Trevor's already so fucked up, he's not just holding the door for people when they come in and out. No, this fucker was, from the moment I went into the bathroom to the moment I was done washing and drying my hands, this fucker was holding the door to the bathroom wide open, making small talk with random people as they came in and out. And I'm just like thinking, man, I wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud. And so now we're out of the bathroom, and I find myself just at the bar ordering too many Jaeger bombs. And when I notice a random guy was talking to my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and I can see that she's not too thrilled that this guy's just talking to her, so I march my intoxicated ass over there, and I just stand right between them with my back to the guy. He was like mid-conversation with her, and I guess I made him so uncomfortable he just kind of walked away. Okay, so then a few minutes pass, and then Trevor and I are playing billiards, which is more or less of us just jousting at the balls, desperately trying to hit them because of how fucked up we were. And the game ended, not because one of us won, but Trevor kept swinging and dropping his pool cue, which somehow was louder than a shampoo bottle fucking slamming in the shower. And like every time he dropped it, the bouncers kept staring us down and kept giving us a dirty look, and then Trevor just flat out just started laying down on the ground next to the people at the other billiards table. And now everyone in the bar is looking at us like, is this retard yours? And I just stood there and I was like, trying to act like I wasn't best friends with this fucking retard. So I fucking picked this goddamn animal up and I take him off the ground, and then we all decide it's time to hit up a different bar because we obviously have overstayed our welcome at this one. And we're getting ready to leave, and we realize Eric's missing. He's just missing. And we're all hammered, so we just start panicking, looking around frantically for Eric. and his girlfriend Sarah was on her phone calling him for about like a half hour, and with no answer, and my dumbass was just going around the bar asking other drunk people if they've seen a tall, drunk guy. That was the only explanation I gave them. And they, of course, they had no idea who I was talking about. I just gave them the most vague explanation. So anyway, we're still looking around, and a small fight broke out on the patio of the bar, which did not help our investigation at all. So the rest of our group just goes outside, just on the sidewalk outside the bar, and then Sarah finally gets a hold of Eric on the phone, and he says that he's back at their house because he didn't feel well, but he doesn't have the key to get inside. So Sarah, who has the key, says that we should go back and help Eric, so we decide to head back that direction towards the house. And it's about 1 in the morning in Bowling Green, so there's a lot of people outside on the streets. So this next part of the story gets a little fucky. As we're walking back, a big group of college kids share the same sidewalk as our group, and somehow, to the lack of thought process and the influence of Jaeger bombs in me, Trevor, and Ash, and Keith just start following this big group of people, because the next thing I know, I arrive at the one and only Taco Bell. And I was so ecstatic about arriving here. I remember cheering and running inside for some wonderfully made tacos, when the reality was I just got some greasy-ass ground beef with limp lettuce and like maybe 2 single pieces of shredded cheese. And it was made by some questionably depressed college student, I imagine. And I also remember that the Taco Bell was so jam-packed of drunk college students that there was 2 police officers on duty just sitting in the Taco Bell. And I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, that's some pretty clever stakeout tactics right there. Anyway, we get out of this Taco Bell, and I realize that I remember that Sarah was just missing now. Sarah and Jake were missing from the group. And the remainder of our group had no idea how to get back to the house. So the only thing that we do in this situation, it was like, we walked around aimlessly for an hour trying to find anything that looked like anything that we could remember to get back to this house. Like, we're just looking for a landmark or something. And this was probably the most stressful part of the night for me. And it wasn't because I was pissed drunk trying to find my way back home. No, it was because the sole fact of Trevor was being an absolute cockass. This fucker was either walking too far ahead, too far behind, shouting at people on the opposite side of the streets. And at one point, we were walking past this pizzeria that was open real late, and it has one of those like glass window cases where people can sit at this bar and look out into the street. And this bitch-ass retard runs in and opens the door and peeks his dumbass head and is staring at all these young people eating pizza and yells, "Meatballs!" I swear to God, I thought someone was gonna beat his ass before we even got back to the house. And after an hour of walking and dealing with Trevor's bullshit, we find the house, and then we get there and we walk up the steps to the second floor deck because it's a shared building, and Eric was just lying down on the deck in his own vomit, which had seeped through the deck floor and was all over the neighbor's porch below them. And I'm like, okay, buddy, let's get you inside. So I stood him up, and then I go to open the door, and I realize, oh, fuck. Because Sarah and Jake had not made it back to the house yet after our group got separated for the second time. And then, so we're like, oh, fuck, we don't have the keys. So we call them immediately, and they just say, oh, yeah, we're at another bar. We'll be back in 10 minutes. And we're like, okay, just 10 minutes? They'll be fine. And then, so 20 minutes go by, and then 30 minutes go by, and then 50, and then another fucking hour after they picked up the phone, they finally show up, and these fuckers had bags of Taco Bell. These fuckers knew Eric was throwing up and made a pit stop for tacos. And the fucked up part was they didn't even bring any tacos back for Eric. So after all that bullshit, we're like, we can finally go inside. So Sarah, who was supposed to have the fucking keys, did not have the fucking keys. So we were all looking around for these goddamn keys for about another fucking hour in the goddamn fucking wherever where we thought the fucking keys would be. And then Eric just turns to me and tells me, he's like, hey, just bust out the window and unlock the door. And at this point, I was sober, but I was so sick of the dumb fuckery that we just went through. I knew it was a bad idea, and I punched that bitch in. I fucking broke that fucking windows and then reached in and unlocked the door and we got in. And then 5 minutes later, Sarah finds the keys in the yard. So yeah, fuck me, fuck drinking, fuck Trevor, and fuck limp tacos.